This one was a fairly meaty session. The gym was very quiet, so that definitely contributed to me getting some decent work in. I started off with high pulls and I was planning to do a few sets with 55 kilos. But since the first set I was able to pull 10 repetitions with relative ease, I decided then to go up in weight for the subsequent sets. I may have outweighted the 55s, which is a great thing. And then I was progressing through the usual giant set with seated pin presses, followed by the bicep curls. On presses here, I was doing 10 reps in the first set, and I was noticing that there was a bit more unevenness in the bar path, meaning that it was rising slightly higher on the left, a bit more than it usually does on the right, but it doesn't really give me in this set here a sensation of instability. So it may also be that the camera is slightly tilted to one side and that kind of accentuates that. And after that there was a solid set of barbell curls, trying to keep my form as strict as possible, but since I have 30 kilos in front of me, there's always a bit of a momentum that kind of goes alongside the pace of the set, so I'm happy with that. So going into the second giant set, went up to 55.7 kilos on the high pulls, and because I did 10 reps in the first set with 55, I was able to do 8 in the second and the third set. So I'm considering maybe going up in weight on the next week. I will start with 55.7 and see how many I can do there. And even if I can only do 6 or so with 60 kilos, provided that the form is okay, I might be staying with 60 kilos next time. But I don't want to put myself too much forward into the future. So let's see, but I did feel good throughout all the sets that I did. I felt strong and in control, which is a good thing. And it gives me hope that I can progress this a tad faster than I would have anticipated before that. Another set with seated overhead presses just passed by, and I was doing 9 in this set here. So I ended up doing 10, 9, and 8 in the third set. All of these felt good, and I feel like I want to go and do sets of 12, 10 to 12, before going up in weight. This is probably something that I said the previous time as well. It's just that I want to be extra safe when it comes to overhead pressing. Bicep curls again felt okay. And this is the third set here where I was filming myself from the front simply because I just wanted to see if there is an uneven bar rise from side to side, but it doesn't really look like that. If I could change one thing, ideally it would be to not start from the pins, but because I am also supersetting that with the pin presses, I will take that. If I was to start from the floor, I would be able to actually get into a snatch grip where my hands are a bit closer to the edges of the bar, and that would allow my arms to be a bit more extended, while if I start from the pins here, I always have to kind of wiggle my way through a more extended grip. But it's not such a big deal. It's much more convenient to do it this way. And on this set here of the pin presses, I didn't notice that the hooks for the squat rack were placed a bit lower than usual, so I kind of ended up banging the bar against the bottom of those, and that threw a couple of reps off the pace. But nevertheless, I was able to do a good amount, so good with that. 3 sets of these is kind of high volume, and I'm thinking that if I'm gonna go up in weight, I might go back to 2 sets of both pin presses and barbell curls, just to be on the safer side. If I'm gonna go up in weight and intensity, I should be trickling down the volume and then slowly go up. And this now is the second part of the session where I was alternating neutral grip pull-ups onto hip thrusts. What I thought about here is, because the neutral grip pull-ups are a somewhat easier variation, but are at the same time also a compound movement that I'm pushing for somewhat higher reps. And then I am also doing barbell hip thrusts with pretty high load. Still, I kind of consider this to be an isolation movement, and although I'm going high in weight on this one, I feel like the pull-ups are still taxing me more than this. But on this set here, I was going up to 15 reps, just because I managed to find a more comfortable position. When I was in the squat rack, yes, there was a bit more of a range of motion, but it didn't really allow me to place the bar in the proper position, so it was kind of hurting me in the hip area. So I decided to just stay on the platform to be as comfortable as possible, let's say. And I might say that it's much better than the other time. So I was able to do 15 reps in the first set, and then I did 14 in the second coming set. And I stopped at 2 sets because the previous time I did 3 sets of about 10 reps, and in 2 sets here I was almost at 30 repetitions. So because I'm also going to do front squats tomorrow and also the back extensions, I thought that the volume for the posterior chain was enough. This is the last set, second and last set of the neutral grip pull-ups, and I was trying to push myself to one last rep, but I was ending up kind of failing, not really touching my chest to the bar, and at that point I knew that that was the end of it. This is another angle from which I'm doing the hip thrust here, always trying to make sure that both plates touch at the same time, because otherwise it kind of throws the rhythm off, and then it starts bouncing side to side, and with this kind of weight it's hard for me to get back into a smooth pace. But at this time I was spent, glad that the session was over, but also it was good work. Ciao.